and welcome to Wednesday's Talking Reds in association with Tokyo Time. My name is Mo Stewart, and this is not Rob Gutman sitting next to me. Sadly, Big Bobby G has been laid down with a virus. He's been puking his guts up all night, so we've told him to stay wherever the hell he is, so we don't get it.
Do you know what kind of virus it is, Mo?
I don't want to know.
I think it might be a transfer virus.
Oh God! Please, that actually hurt me. I felt that in my stomach. Like, in all seriousness, get well soon, Rob. As you can see, we have Mr. Josh Sexton alongside me, and there's a reason he came up with that horrible pun. There's also a reason he didn't tell me he was going to do that beforehand. Yes, there has been some breaking transfer news today. Liverpool, it's been widely reported, readying a record £85 million bid for disgruntled Barcelona wide man Ousmane Dembele, someone who we've been linked with many times before, and it doesn't seem to go away. Now, since we started doing this, and since I started planning this show, Mr. Cold Water himself, Bad News Bear James Pearce, has come out and said that no, we're not interested in him or anyone else in January. So yeah, don't worry about putting a new striker on your Christmas list for Santa, lads. It's not happening. But we're going to ignore that. We're going to decide to ignore that. We're not going to say that it's definitely not true. We're going to talk about it from a more hypothetical standpoint, because I was quite surprised by the reaction to the initial news. It was not what you would call everyone was happy. It wasn't unequivocal. There was quite a mixed reaction considering the talent of this lad. What would you see? Where do you sit?
To be honest, I've not really seen loads of him. It's just I'm quite excited about Liverpool buying players who are highly rated and pacey attackers, because I don't think you can ever have enough of them. But it's interesting you mentioned the sort of the pouring the cold water on it, because it feels like we've been in this scenario before with the club, where the club are putting out the line that no, we're not interested in anyone, and then all of a sudden on December 27th you've got a big Virgil van Dijk shaped present next to your Christmas tree. So I wouldn't worry about them saying that kind of thing. But no, in terms of Dembele, I think he's an exciting prospect. Whatever's gone on at Barcelona has clearly made them ready to part with him after paying, what was it, 130 for him in the summer?
135, I think, yeah.
And we've wanted Pulisic for ages, so he almost feels like one of the Dortmund lads who's young and a quick winger. I'll take that, to be honest.
I think it's a lot of has been made of his attitude. I think that's what's come up at Barcelona. There's been talk about him being late. There's also been talk about him being late around the French squad. There's talk about his mystery viruses. And on top of all that, we know a lot of the antics he got up to when he was trying to leave Dortmund in order to get to Barcelona in the first place. So there's a lot of people who are saying, Klopp rules his squad with an iron fist. There's no place for that kind of guy in there. What that ignores, though, the fact that Jurgen Klopp himself has actually tried to sign Ousmane Dembele. He tried to sign him when he was at Rennes, and he chose Dortmund. He tried to sign him when he was at Dortmund, and he chose Barcelona. He's tried to sign him now he's at Barcelona. So whatever anyone else thinks about his attitude, Klopp seems to be fairly certain that he's the guy he can work with. I'm
also just going to steal something that Rob Gutman used earlier in the week when the link was sort of first brought up, albeit in a more rumour mill style, was that Rob says we love those lads. We love those lads who are meant to be problem children at their former clubs. I'm thinking about Xherdan Shaqiri this summer. We all heard about what Charlie Adam and Gary Neville had to say, and even some Stoke fans saying about how he was the reason they got relegated and that he had all this bad attitude and his approach to training and stuff, and look at him. So I think if you're worried about someone's attitude, and like you say, Jurgen Klopp wants to sign him, then I think you're underrating what Jurgen Klopp can do in terms of man manager, but also in terms of turning these lads around and being able to make them play for his team.
Giving him a bit of focus, because that seems to be really all he needs, I think. The other point I saw, which surprised me as well, was that some people were saying that maybe we shouldn't be going after him because it might disrupt the front three, it might upset some of the players already there. And it's like, come on guys, we're a top club here. We need to have as many good options as possible. If we want to convince these guys that we are a top club and that they should be staying here, then we need to be acting like that and building up our stocks in all kinds of goal scoring and attacking options. That's what top clubs do, right?
And you can never, like I said before, you can never have enough good players, and everyone's been complaining, well, not everyone, but some people have been complaining for this sort of first part of the season about how the front three are clicking, but then two of our best performers this season have probably been Xherdan Shaqiri and Daniel Sturridge, who are your two people who are sort of sat back in the rotation. So I don't see anything wrong with it personally, and if he comes and is happy to sort of not necessarily be a rotation player, but know that he's gonna be moved around a bit and there's going to be some sort of shifting and shaping here and there, then I don't see why would anyone would have a problem with it at all.
I'd be really excited to see exactly what plans Klopp has for him, because as I said, he's planned for having him in his team quite a few times before. But anyway, we all know, thanks to James, this isn't going to happen, but just in case it does. Now, you touched on Shaqiri a couple of times, and I really wanted to highlight him in this show today, because if we take the block from the last international break to the present one, he's probably been our best, well, he's undoubtedly been our best performer. 5 games he's played, he's had 2 goals and 3 assists, and that doesn't even include some of the other things we've seen him do. We've seen him winning the ball back. We saw the great ball inside the fullback to Robertson for the first goal in the Champions League game, and he's just basically made an impact every time he's come onto the pitch. He seems to be our new attacking catalyst. How pleased have you been with how he's progressed already in his Liverpool career?
Massively, to be honest. I think I've said it on one of these Talking Reds before, is that I sort of expected him to have the attitude and application. I know there were questions about that before he came, whether he could do that, but I sort of expected him to have that, otherwise I didn't think Klopp would sign him. Probably what I underestimated was how much technique he has, to be honest, and how positive he is on the pitch, because I think you can see that he's got a bit of an arrogance or a swagger about him, and I think that I use that to be a good thing. Every time he's on the pitch, he's looking for that vertical pass or that run through or to try and break the lines, and I think we've been asking for one of them players since probably Chamberlain got injured, so I think the impact he's had is massive, and like you say, he's allowed that front three to just become more of a unit in recent games. I suppose he's helped Salah out. He's given Salah a couple of goals on a plate, and he was really good in the Red Star game where they all got on the score sheet, didn't they? I think so. Yeah, I don't think you can really underestimate the impact he's had so far. And for 13 million in today's market, I wrote about him and Robertson in particular at the weekend, who I just thought stood out loads. And for them combined to cost 21 million it's absurd, really.
When you've made those kind of bargains, then spending 85 million pounds on someone like Dembele suddenly makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
How much would you pay for Shaqiri now?
I tell you. Question I want to ask you: has he played his way into our first team for all the games, for the big games, for example?
I think it's tough, because I sort of look at this Liverpool team and think that they're definitely a side who should be going more horses for courses. So I don't know what you'd technically call our strongest 11. If you're saying that that's the team you play in the big games, I'd almost be tempted to say maybe not for now, just because I think you probably don't have such a sturdy foundation in midfield.
Okay,
if you play Fabinho into form, then you could see him playing a bit more of a role.
For you, it's more about where he fits within the rest of the midfield. So, are you still thinking him as a midfield 3 guy, a front 3 guy, or maybe even a rotating between the two?
I think it swings a bit, doesn't it? Because I think people have been talking about this 4-2-3-1 we've been playing, but I think it almost is a combination of the two formations. So Shaqiri sometimes comes in and tucks in as the right centre midfielder, but he also sometimes goes out to the right, and Firmino will drop to the 10. So I think it's been a bit of both so far. But I think where I'd like to see him thrive is that Chamberlain role that he played last season, and the role we've seen Coutinho play towards the back end of his Liverpool career. Because I think that's probably where Liverpool are most in need, is to have that creativity in midfield.
And that was the driving force behind the second half of last season, the introduction of Oxlade-Chamberlain. I would like to see. I do think he was in our starting 11. For example, if we had a Champions League semi-final at home tomorrow, he'd be in my team.
Yeah.
I think maybe away from home you can maybe look at still the horses for courses thing, but I think that extra drive, he has been so important for that, and it's one of those situations where when you've got a guy who's rolling like that, you just kind of let him go, keep him going, and that's how I look at it anyway.
I'm looking forward to the next time we have like a side who's in the relegation zone at home, and we can play Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Shaqiri all in midfield together. Just play like an 11-1 formation with Van Dijk at the back, 10-1, sorry. Oh,
could you imagine that? It's funny as well, because you touched a little bit as well on the perception of him beforehand, the work rate and stuff like that. One thing I did notice though, all of his former teammates, Darren Fletcher, Peter Crouch and Charlie Adam, they all said that they expected him to work his way into the first team because of his self-belief. And obviously, someone who they thought that about obviously has to work hard a little bit. So do you think it was more a case of them trying to, a bit of sour grapes, someone who's kind of scorned them more than any actual questions about his attitude or work rate?
I think Elliot Hackney, who's on Twitter, is Stoke fan, who does some bits for Amphirap as well, so sort of said it best. It seemed a bit like a deflection from Charlie Adam. I think he'd put together like a Curb Your Enthusiasm style thing thing where Charlie Adams said, oh, Shaqiri and his sort of attitude is one of the reasons we got relegated, and then he's gone and put all Charlie Adams' mistakes in the season in, which was quite funny. But
which were plentiful.
Yeah, I think Peter Crouch's words probably hold the most weight there, because he's someone who knows what it takes to play for Liverpool and to make it in this Liverpool side and to become a fan favourite as well as Peter Crouch was. So I think if you listen to what he was saying about Shaqiri, he was particularly positive in his sort of response to him. So I think that sort of tells you everything you need to know, really.
It is. It's a big 2 thumbs up to us from the Power Cube. So may it continue along, and please, God, don't let him get injured in this international break. Speaking of an international break, it's now time for an advert break.
Tokyo Time is sponsoring Talking Reds for Wednesdays for the foreseeable future, which were made up about. They're a Liverpool company. They're trying to do things differently. They're trying to do things better, a bit like the Anfield rap. And so they've set up only recently, but already got a lot of traction for kind of what they want to do. They helped us out in America. They gave us hats to wear over there, and very much needed. They were in that bacon sun next to the pitch watching the Liverpool boys train. So yeah, since then they've come in. They've asked us about doing something a little bit more formal. So that's what we're going to do. So they're going to be sponsoring Wednesdays on the Talking Reds for the foreseeable future. If you're into your baseball caps, you're into your street style, or you know anyone else who is, or you're looking for presents to buy for people, do check out their website. It's tokyotime.co.uk, or follow them on Instagram. They've got loads of styles, something for everyone, and the fit is really, really good. So yeah, cheers to the boys for supporting us. They're supporting us, so do try and support them. tokyotime.co.uk.
Okay, so something else that's been coming up over the last couple of days, in fact it's coming out tomorrow, is a brand new Steven Gerrrad movie called Make Us Dream. It's a biopic of his life from his early beginnings in higher end through to him becoming an icon for the team that he loves. Now, I've not seen the film, as I say, it previews tomorrow night, but some lucky people have seen this film.
Yeah, I've mentioned it on a video with Ian Ryan a couple of weeks ago before, but I was lucky enough to be invited down to the press screening of the Steven Gerrrad film, and let's just say it was very emotional, of a roller coaster, I suppose. It goes from the highs of Istanbul and him coming through in his debut to the lows, if you will, of 2013-14 and the way that ended. And one of the things I absolutely took away from it was just how much I love Steven Gerrrad, to be honest. He sort of decorated my Liverpool support in life from a young age, so it had a big emotional impact on me, and I just really want to see him do well as a coach now.
Now, you talk about the dark times. Unfortunately, it's probably one of the things that most people are going to focus on, because there was lots of new information about that time. But there's some have said Dominic King did a piece with him in kind of connection with the movie, and there was some surprise at how open he is, but I mean, are we surprised? Anyone who's ever seen him knows how emotional he is, and talking unfortunately of the incident against Chelsea and stuff like that, you could see how much it affected him there. So, I mean, hearing him say it, it's not really that surprising.
Yeah, I think from the outside, some people can sort of think that Steven Gerrard's a bit of a closed book, particularly when he's off the pitch. I think when he's on the pitch, you'll see some of them emotions come out in different ways. But his wife and sort of family members say throughout the film how emotional he was from such a young age, and yeah, you do get to see a lot of that, particularly around the Chelsea game. He talks about the fact that he was having injections and epidurals before the Chelsea game, so he shouldn't have really even been playing. But obviously the fact that Jordan Henderson was suspended left Liverpool with no choice, and Gerrard sort of carried that burden for them, being the captain and being the local hero. So it's quite sad, really, when you sort of see that side of it.
It's a classic cinematic tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but like I say, just want to see him sort of come back to Liverpool and hopefully win a Premier League as manager at some point in the future.
Well, I mean, he's had some up and downs in his early days at Rangers, but they've also had some cracking results. It's unsurprisingly, they seem to be really good at European football, so you never know. There's hope that lineage will continue at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
Now, we've got some shows out of our own, maybe not quite at that kind of level of production.
Well,
they're not at that level of production, but they're still just as entertaining, let me tell you that much. For the podcast variety, we've got the Lower League show that's coming out today, and we've got What We Call History, which I believe is just finishing up the 2001-2002 season. So that was another point in history where Liverpool were kind of on the up, hoping for better things in the future, which unfortunately didn't arrive the season after. So maybe don't want to listen to the next one, but listen to this one, it's going to be really good. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there was a gutter out yesterday as well, where Rob Gutman gets his teeth into some of the transfer business. So if you are into that sort of stuff and you want to hear Rob talking a bit about Dembele, if I've not sort of whet your appetite with that, then absolutely go and listen to that as well and subscribe to Talk Player.
Yeah, he got his fill in whenever he gets a chance, and I guarantee you he's not going to be taking this James Pearce stuff seriously. He's still going to be sniffing out whatever rumours he can. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. But until then, see you next week.